Hello there, and welcome back to the SWTVC podcast, the audio home of the SWTVC crew and the ongoing push for the continued existence, expansion, and success of the heritage scale of Star Wars collecting. I'm your host, Evan Fries, or as you may know me on Instagram, at Mile High Ground, and I'm joined today by a man that my ex once assured me that she wasn't jealous of, the Vintage Concepts himself, John Lindquist. How are you doing, bud?
I'm better now after that comment.
Yeah, I wish I was on your level, because this is the first time in a while I had to write down the intro so I could remember it. So tired.
Yeah, I don't sleep well anymore. But yes.
Yeah, because of your mother?
Yes, I'd much rather dream about Padme. You know the whole shtick.
Man, we could do that for so long, couldn't we?
Yeah, turns out he wouldn't rather dream about Padme. Okay, anyway.
Dreams. They're dangerous.
We're going to talk about our dreams today.
Crushing them or living them. We'll see. So, I know I have on here the mail call bit. Not a whole lot, but
yeah,
I know for, trigger warning. I did just get my retro Bosk and Boba Fett set literally 20 minutes ago at the time of recording.
I think you got those yesterday, yeah.
Shipped in a nice little envelope from Amazon, a little crushed, so we'll see. I'll inspect the damage later.
Yep.
At a certain point, I just don't care.
Well, it wasn't I think the first half of October, it was like every day it would be emails from Pulse of, it's about to ship, it's shipped, it's right outside, come and get it. And it was just like, oh my God, it was coming so fast I couldn't process it all.
Yeah.
After months of nothing, but listen to the last episode if you want to hear about that. But yeah, it's been a little quieter the last few weeks.
When it rains, it pours, and it's currently not pouring right now, so it'll probably snow eventually. Yeah. We did also, I think we mentioned it last time, we did get the Phase 1 Clone Trooper pack. At the time that we talked about that, I hadn't opened them. And if I said I did on the episode, then maybe I did. But right now, as memory serves, I didn't open them at that time. I got 2 sets. I know we'll get to you in just one sec, John.
Yes.
But both of my sets had some quality control issues. Sloppy paint on the helmet, soft, jagged, melty looking plastic. Looked like they'd been kicked around in the dirt for a while. That kind of thing. Stuff that we kind of experienced with the Stormtrooper packs. And I have noticed some varying degrees of QC issues on them. Anyway, John, what's your experience with those been?
Well, I just opened them right before the show so we could talk about them, because I have a whole backlog of the Troop Builder packs. I sent you an image, quite a few.
Yes, you did.
I did buy between Shop Disney, Pulse, and some local friends that I called in for favors before these sites raised their minimums or their maximum orders. I ended up with 12 of these Clone Trooper sets before any of the QC issues were known to me. So,
yeah,
dare to dream. But having just opened them, and I popped a 2020 BC-45 clone off the shelf just to kind of compare.
Yeah.
And I mean, it kind of goes along with these sets. Like you said, I don't have anything crazy wrong with mine. Some of the paint is a little bit off. Some of the finer details on the helmet feel a little, I don't know, soft or something. It's not quite as bad as the first round of Stormtroopers for me personally. But yeah, comparing to the 2021, the helmet's still a little off in places, but I don't know. Overall, I'm not as disappointed as you are. I will say the heads all look quite nice. The human heads, do yours look okay?
They do. And I think that really is the most important part, I suppose.
Well,
for me,
I guess it forces you to display them without the helmets, I guess.
Yeah, that, and just, the more I think about it, the more I look at them, they're okay. I've tried taking a couple photos of them, and it's fine. Of course, not every clone's going to look like it came from Attack of the Clones as a shiny CG render. They'll be dirty and beaten up. And if you're building out armies, these, it's whatever. You can throw these ones in the back of the ranks. I get that. It just is a little tough to pay, the Vintage Collection premium prices to get an item that is a little pricey, and then have it kind of show up and feel and look like a knockoff.
Yeah.
But Bantha Skull pointed out to me that it only shakes out to about what 1188 a figure. So what a steal. We'll talk about that later. But yeah.
Yes. I mean, compared to the way things are going, well, that's a
Yeah.
little foreshadowing for you there.
Look at
But
that.
yeah, I don't know. Overall happy. They could be a little nicer, but I will say one nice thing, I guess, is that because these heads are the 4 heads from the Bad Batch set from last year, they are larger and more proportional than the tiny little pea heads from the 2011 and all the clone and all the clones that were based off of that figure.
Yeah.
So the helmet fits a little bit tighter. It wasn't super loose in the old one, but I don't know. That's something I'm looking for. I'm looking for positives here, folks. But
it's not all bad.
Yeah.
I was curious. So the date stamp on mine was 21861, which for those of you out there, we're not going to get into how to decipher this, but that would be July 5th, 2022, a Tuesday to be exact. So John, when were yours?
And I haven't checked all of them, but the one that I opened was 21711, which would be Monday, June 20th. So 2 weeks and a day before yours, I guess. Maybe they were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed that Monday morning. They all had their coffee.
Yeah, mine were all the Chinese factory was having a post 4th of July hangover for no reason, because why would they? But yeah,
they're just celebrating a different country's holidays. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know. I could talk about these for a little while. I had a couple folks reach out to me kind of being a little disgruntled about their QC. I've come to really expect this with the Trooper packs. I guess I'm just a little leery with, the Figrin Dan. I hope it doesn't feel as cheap. I'm sure it might, but hey, we all bought 7 of the regular carded version already. So,
well, yeah, I don't have a loose carded one to open to compare now. So I guess we'll see. I'm sure they'll still be available by the time we get the 7-pack, but
yeah, I also have a couple extras.
Compare.
So if worst comes to worst.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, well, let's move on from that. That's no fun. Let's talk about something that is fun. Tales of the Jedi, man.
Oh yeah.
So we're a week out from that at the time of recording. And yeah, dude, needless to say, obviously I loved it. So how about you, John?
Yes, I also loved it. I need to rewatch it. I got to see the first episode. We'll talk spoilers. We'll give a spoiler warning here for the episodes. Yes. But I got to see the one about Ahsoka's birth and early childhood back at Celebration, and it was just, I loved it. It was great seeing it on the big screen. Just the animation that Lucasfilm is putting out now is just incredible. The music was fantastic. I was listening to the soundtrack today that they put out. I think Sanctity of Life.
The Kiners outdid themselves.
They really did. And the piece when like Ahsoka's mom is carrying her into the forest. I just love that. I think it's called Sanctity of Life. It's just fantastic stuff. And
it's interesting. So the first episode, I think I texted you when I watched it. I was not ready for the quality of animation. I don't know why I wasn't. I was just shocked by how good it looked. But the end of the episode, where full spoilers here, where Ahsoka is Jedi, is what the episode pretty much ends on. I think it's telling when I say that episode gave me chills, was fantastic.
Yeah.
And was my least favorite of all of them. Like the bar was high, and the fact that it was all uphill from there essentially was wonderful. It was just a really nice treat. I wish it was all longer, but yeah.
And on the quality of animation front, I loved comparing as Clone Wars was out, they would get better year after year. And I remember at the end of season 3 where Ahsoka was on the Trandoshan moon being hunted by them, and Chewie comes and saves her. And I remember that the animation team talking at the time about how, now the way they were rendering a forest and stuff, they could populate it with more little, plants and things on the trees, moss on the trees and whatnot. And now just like comparing that and how even rudimentary that looks now a decade later to what they were doing in the forest animation this time. Yeah. Again, even that just from a very small thing, but it's nice to see the progress, of course. But yeah,
it's like in the one episode where you see Padme's funeral, the shots of Naboo there are like indistinguishable from the live action.
Yeah.
shots in many ways. Just
Mhm.
wow. I do have some notes here of, some
Yes,
things I'd
yes.
like to see in future seasons. Do you have any? You're looking at my list, John. So
You go
do you have
ahead.
anything
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
add? Or okay,
I agree. I'll chime in when I need to. But I think you covered a lot of it. So
perfect. Well, I'm just hyped on this format. The possibilities for me are endless here. It's just wow. If they were to make more seasons of this, I think this would be an ideal format to, further explore the Dooku and Qui-Gon master and apprentice relationship. Maybe something like what they did in the Scholastic era with the Jude Watson books. I don't know if do you remember those where they did like the
mhm.
it included the characters from Jedi Apprentice, Jedi Quest, and whatever, where it was the generations. So you had like the story started with Dooku and Qui-Gon, and then progressed to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and then it was Obi-Wan and Anakin, and they're all dealing with the same villain or same threat or something. I think that would be something that would be fun to explore. I would love to see some Yoda and Dooku stories. Of course,
Mhm.
Dooku Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan and Anakin, Anakin Ahsoka. That disaster lineage, of course, I think is what people call it
Yes.
now. Um, I think the High Republic would be awesome to see explored in this, and that bite-sized. There's so many characters. An anthology would really be the best way to do them justice and give so many of these Jedi characters in that era a time to shine.
Mhm.
I would be over the moon if we got like a Buryaga episode or something about like Skier the Trandoshan. It just again it's all perfect for this.
Yeah.
Lastly, I think this would be a really great way to flesh out the uh, transition era in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens even further, get some stories about Luke and Ben and his ill-fated new Jedi Order. And even some post-sequel stuff, maybe have Rey and Finn. I know they've explored it in the Lego specials, but it'd be really nice to have it in a serious, non-Lego not that those are invalid, but a non-Lego storytelling environment that is more canon. So
Yeah.
yeah, I hope this isn't the last that we see of it. I hope that this was just like them testing the waters, and I hope that the reaction and the response to it has been positive enough that Lucasfilm is already like, cool, they loved it. Let's do more. And instead of 6,
Yeah.
let's expand it to like 18 shorts and cover that. Like, I know I'm getting ambitious here, but I just
Well,
absolutely am floored by the whole thing.
it was fantastic. Yeah. And not to minimize hopes and dreams, but I think because it was using, Clone Wars assets and Clone Wars animation models with some new stuff as well. It makes sense that they focused on that era in particular. Obviously, Dooku and Ahsoka both had new character models here and there, but I think that, even filling in more of the gaps in the Clone Wars timeline would be awesome to see. Some more of the stuff with you mentioned Buryaga, but I got a shout out to Gunji, the other Wookiee Padawan.
Yeah.
It would be, and we know he's coming back in Bad Batch season 2, but it would be great to see more of that sort of their story. We don't need to see Order 66 every time, but in the wake of some of these difficulties of the war and right after and stuff. But yeah, some more time with Plo Koon, some more time with Kit Fisto. Sassy
Caleb.
Tin didn't.
Yeah,
Caleb Doom. Sassy Tin didn't get a whole lot of time in the Clone Wars itself. Maybe we could see more of Barris's fall. And how you mentioned the lineage, and I know how they were kind of comparing Dooku, and then you go down the line and you get to Ahsoka, and they're both Jedi that questioned the Order and left the Order for different reasons. So I kind of like the comparing and contrasting of the two of their stories. So if there's another way to do that with some other Jedi, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think the reason, tempering the expectations, of course. The reason that I go nuts with it is it's in my very hopeful, dreamy world. It's that they do stuff, and also that since this is now a tried and true property and a format for them, that it's like, cool, we can invest a little more into the next round.
Clearly,
so.
I'm so used to talking about Hasbro reusing their assets that I expect Lucasfilm to do the same. But
yeah, oh boy, Hasbro has us trained. So needless to say, I'm never disappointed with anything else in my life. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, speaking of future disappointment, I did write down any figures you'd like to see from this. I would be willing to put money on the fact that Hasbro would never make a single TVC figure from this show. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to say right now that I would be willing to bet that they'll never cover this show in any capacity in the vintage collection. And I'm sure Black Series will get some really nice figures that we'll all be very happy about. So.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I hope not.
I hope not to. I hope to the force that I am so wrong.
I mean, they did, Hasbro didn't really make anything from Visions. Other companies did pick up that baton a little bit. Seeing as how that was last year's anthology series, just as a point of comparison. But yeah,
true.
Some great choices here, of course. And they have, there's characters in here like Mace that appeared the same as he did in the prequels. So we already have that figure. Obi-Wan, if you want to put did you make a custom of that with Obi-Wan's mulleted Episode 2 head on the body?
I did. I was thinking, card back? No, but I did. I had an extra Attack of the Clones Obi-Wan that I was using for some stuff, and I had an extra Clone Wars body, and so I just put the head on there and then threw it on the card in the bubble, and was like, oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
So
we, when we have Anakin and we have some of the stuff sort of already, but
Well, I mean, we don't even have regular Sith Lord Count Dooku that we saw in the Clone Wars and the prequel films. So the fact that my most wanted is a Jedi Count Dooku, it's like, guess I'll wait 20 years for that one. 20 years plus, still waiting. So,
well, yeah,
whatever. Yeah, Yaddle would be great. I think they could reuse some Yoda parts. Qui-Gon, and even if they didn't do a young Qui-Gon, which I would love that they do, the current Phantom Menace Qui-Gon, it could use a new head sculpt. I think that would go a long way to bringing that figure up. So it'd be nice on a Tales of the Jedi card back. Yeah. Anyway, I would ask for the Inquisitor, but we know that we're going to be asking for lots of Inquisitors. So
I'm not. Yeah, we have a lot of Inquisitors in line already. I was saying, because at the end of the series, Ahsoka wears the same jumpsuit that she wore in the Martez sisters arc, which I know we don't say those names around here, but might be a slightly more viable way to get that look out, because it is a cool look. And then she has the new training outfit from earlier in the series. But there were a lot of Phase 1 clones. Maybe their heads were messed up from her deflecting their stun blasts back at them or something. That's why the figure packs look the way they do. So you never know.
There you go. Happy accidents.
Yes.
Well, shall we move on?
Yes. So from things that don't exist to things that do.
Yep.
Wow. What a transition.
That was flawless. Let's just soak in that for the next 5 minutes. So Hasbro had a couple of events lately. They had their 1027 online event, and then they were at London Comic-Con in person. Both saw some reveals. So let's start. Oh, sorry.
And I'll say there was one more thing, the Bring Home the Galaxy this week. So they added this since we wrote the outline. So there you go.
Bonus round. Always fun. So, but yes, going into it, like, I know that I've been my little womp womp about Tales of the Jedi figure wise, but you know what? It's fine. I love the show, and there's plenty of reveals here to talk about. And John is going to hold our hands and take us through them.
Am I really? We got a lot of Black Series stuff first. Oh, let's just say real quick what they are. Get it over with. They got Din Djarin Morak, which TVC already has. We got Cal Kestis from Jedi Survivor. We have more to say on that in just a second. And Boba Fett, a repack on the Return of the Jedi 40th card, which they pipelined 2 of the 3. They did not pipeline Cal. And yet everyone's still surprised when Boba Fett shows up. We already knew about this, guys. Pay attention to the pipelines. Make notes for yourself. It's not that hard.
Make a printout, put it on the wall, vision board that stuff.
But so, yeah, Cal is, I believe he's the first mainline figure to include the Gaming Greats subheader, which I know was a little confusing to some on the day.
Yes, he is the first. In fact, it's funny that you mentioned that, because earlier today while I was scrolling through comments, I can't remember how many I saw, but there were a few comments, poor yak face, of like, oh, whoa, wait, what? Why are Gaming Greats in this wave that you are saying we can order? Like what? Malak and Basla? Sorry, jumping ahead. Sorry, Cal Kestis is, in a main line. Like what's happening? Like I thought Gaming Greats was an exclusive. So Just
It
muddying the
was,
waters.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like you said, it muddies the waters a little bit. Gives me hope, though, that they can... well, we know Cal is also coming to TVC.
Yeah.
So, and it remains to be seen if he'll get the little Gaming Greats logo on the back of the card. That's kind of whatever. We just got them on the other Jedi Survivor figures. The 3-pack of the Magna Guard, KX Security Droid, and Scout Trooper. I always forget that Scout Trooper. But so hopefully there's more newness coming to the Gaming Greats.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it is the logical expansion of a subline that is doing really well. It's a very popular expression for Black Series and the Vintage Collection, so it makes sense. It's just kind of like let's readjust how we ask for things then.
Yes. So. And then for TVC, we got one reveal. So, 3's better than 1, but last year there were none at 1027. There was 4 Black Series, so the scales are slightly balancing, maybe, I guess. Maybe by next year we'll have 2 at 1027. Dare to dream. But it was, of course, the artillery stormtrooper from The Mandalorian. I'm looking at my desk.
Surprise turn of events.
Yes, so we had no idea to expect that. It was pipelined a lot. I don't even remember when it was pipelined. It's been in the pipeline for a while.
I think at Celebration.
I think it was before. I thought it was before that. Because Celebration, they pipelined Starkiller, Hunter, and Paz.
Ew,
and then
maybe it was.
Might have been Celebration, but it feels like it might have been like a fan
ago.
first. So long ago, we don't even remember it. I can't even look it up.
Yeah.
But we did see it at Comic-Con on the back of the cards. That's why at London Comic-Con, all the backs of the cards of the new figures were all taped up so that we couldn't see the new figures. They're on to our ways, folks.
Well, not only that, but also we have figures in hand that have that figure
yes.
on the back of the card. So yeah.
Yeah. R2 SHW has that as well as the Andor figures. I think that's the only one so far, but yeah. I mean, it looks good. It's the same Stormtrooper we've gotten already 4 times this year. I'm looking at the 2 Gaming Greats ones and the 2 Walmart exclusive world building set ones. So there's, 2. There's a regular white one with a black pauldron, and then a red one and a blue one, and now a yellow one. Phew, there's a lot of Rocker Ankle Stormtroopers now, but love them all.
Yeah.
This guy's got a cool backpack. He's got 4 mortars. So a lot of people call him the Mortar Stormtrooper. He's got 4 that go into the backpack, and I think they go into the rocket launcher, the mortar launcher, or do they just kind of display near it?
You know what? I don't know. Either way, I like the little details.
Yes.
It looks nice.
It's a lot of accessories. It's nice to see this many accessories on a basic card, even if it is a figure we've gotten before, but it's a new version of a figure, and it's building out the Tython experience for you there. So that's nice to see.
It might be worth mentioning that if I may, that the Black Series and TVC at 1027, pretty much everything revealed was all a balance of scales thing, where it was, the 3 things that they got. Granted, they already had the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, but now they exactly got it balanced. They have it on the same card back as us.
With those goofy airbrushed legs that we all know and love so much.
Yep. And then, Cal and Din are things that we have Din already and Cal's coming. So that's nice that, it's balance is not a one-way street. It's nice to see folks be able to be happy about it both ways. Yes. So I appreciate that. And the Artillery Stormtrooper, which they had in Black Series, I think last year as an Amazon exclusive, we have that now. So progress.
And it stings a little less when Black Series is getting all these reveals if Vintage Collection already has them.
Yes.
It's not quite as strong of a twist of the knife. Something I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, it's not like a London Comic-Con.
Yes. You want to run down these Black Series reveals?
You do it.
Oh, God. All right. So we had already seen, I think, the first one, Admiral Akbar on the Kinner card, another Return of the Jedi 40th card.
That was San Diego Comic-Con, I think, when we first heard of that or saw it, but it's been a while.
Yes. I don't keep track. We do. No. Sorry, I do collect Black Series, but I don't keep track of it as extensively as I do Vintage Collection. Anyway, he's in Kinner colors. It's not quite as stark as the A New Hope Kinner color figures from last year, but and then continuing the Gaming Greats in the mainline situation, we got Bastila Shan, who appears to have Holdo and Aura Singh's legs. and Darth Malak, who is all new, both of them based on their appearances from the pushed, canceled, maybe moved to a different studio. We don't really know. Knights of the Old Republic remake, refresh. So their designs are a little different. They're not quite what fans are used to. Vintage Collection already has Bastila, and 3.75 got Darth Malak in the 30th anniversary collection way back in 2007. You could use an update, but, it is what it is. They also got 3 more publishing figures, including Scar Trooper Mike. Didn't know there was a guy named Mike in Star Wars. He is the follow-up to Sergeant Creel with a jetpack that fits into the back with no peg. Interesting little engineering trick there. Dr. Aphra with a new scarf and trench coat. The second version of Aphra in Black Series after the 2018 version. She can easily come to TVC with a soft goods trench coat if they don't want to tool up new arms. They finally got Mara Jade, the first Mara Jade in 6-inch, who I believe looks to have Aphra's body as well, but with a new head, a new scarf to cover up that her neckline is nowhere near what Aphra's is from the comics, with goggles, new arms, lightsaber. She's got the Legends logo on the inside of the box, and all 3 of them are in the plastic free, so they still have the same opening flap with all the comic art, but you open it up to see another picture of the figure instead of the opening it up to see the figure like you did for the Arena disguised Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's curious that they didn't do the open thing, but then again, the Arena disguised Boba Fett was a convention exclusive or non-retail exclusive, whereas these are things that will be available at retail. Probably not Target and Walmart, but like GameStop and
maybe
so at least I've seen the publishing figures at GameStop before. So
I guess I haven't been to GameStop in a minute. The TVC selection is slim these days, but I swear to God, we're almost done with Black Series from London Comic Con. Bear with us, please. For 4 pipeline figures, they were all from the Clone Wars 20th anniversary, including a new Ahsoka Tano. They mentioned the earlier seasons, but it was a season 3 to season 5 version shown. An all-new Magna Guard.
I smell repaints. It's funny, I totally called this one coming like the day before someone in one of our group chats was like, I don't know, man. I think we'd be more likely to see a Battle Droid repaint than Black Series would be to see a Magna Guard. And I was like, doubtful. And boy, oh boy, I was vindicated like 12 hours later. So it's always fun when a genuine guess comes to pass, but it's not fun when it's not one of my TVC guesses.
Yes.
So,
we do have we have both Ahsoka and Magna Guard in TVC, but they could be better, especially that Ahsoka.
Yeah.
They're also getting the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. They didn't mention, they already have the Phase 2 Clone Trooper, so whatever. Maybe it'll be a more realistic helmet. I don't know.
It's probably, they haven't done the Phase 2 Clone Trooper.
Not a plain white one.
On the new Clone Buck that they did in 2020. So it's just going to be that with a Phase 2 helmet, I imagine.
Yeah. And then one that kind of stings more than the others is Omega from Bad Batch Season 2. So Black Series already has Season 2 versions coming of the crew while Vintage Collection waits for Season 1. So but as I've pointed out before, I think a lot of the armor of the other guys is pretty similar across Season 1 and 2. There's probably some small updates, a lot of paint updates. So once we get them in over the next 18 to 20 years, they can move on to Season 2 for the Bad Batch 20th anniversary. So that'll be fun.
TVC though,
quite a lot of it there. But just to give background, we got a sneak peek of these 4 figures like not even that long ago. When was that? PulseCon? Earlier this month, a month ago, I guess.
Yes.
But it was the 4 Jabba's Palace dudes. So VC-24 Woof, VC-56 Cathaba confirmed to be the red bandana variant. Thank God. It's
one I don't have. I didn't pay a ton of money for it. So
I also do not have that one. I just got the gray version back in the day, which was first. VC-99 Nikto Skiff Guard. The character's name is Lathe, if you're keeping score at home. And VC-132 Salt Mirai, just from a couple of years ago. His name pill is still over to the right side because the figure is so tall, but the font is bigger. Hey, okay, that's something. And all 4 card backs have the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary logo in the upper left. And as for the figures, back in the day, at least some of them had incorrect joint pin colors that did not match their elbows and knees and ankles. At least if the press pictures are to be believed, and sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't, Axe Wolves looking at you. But yeah, as far as we know now, they appear to have been updated. So that's, not the most exciting thing in the world, but it is nice to, make these updates where they can.
Can I just jump in and get to the part where, contrary to what Hasbro told us directly in our latest Q&A session, these will be a single specialty wave and will not be peppered into the main line. Surprise, surprise! Hasbro didn't know something about their specialty figures and how they're distributed. I giving them the benefit of the doubt, I wonder if they thought we were talking waves, so it's peppered into the mainline waves, as in it's a wave in between mainline waves. I don't know. These aren't exclusive, so
no,
they are on the mainline SKU, so technically they're mainline, but whatever.
Yes, and as we said before, these specialty repack waves, they've been confusing the whole time. They told us a lot of things about them in the Q&As over the years that turned out not to be correct. Including, so back in 2019, the first specialty wave, we've gone over this before, but it was, Jedi Luke, Vader, Echo Base Han, and Hoth Leia. That was a separate SKU. I believe it was not sold in retail stores.
No.
All the other waves since then were mixed into the main line. So if,
starting in 2020 with the Bespin Luke, Lando, Han, and
3PO.
C-3PO wave, which that wave caused some issues at retail.
So. Yes, and I know a lot of that was sent to Ollie's as well. And there were some that weren't that bad. There were some Clone Wars figures in there, Obi-Wan, Anakin, along with Darth Maul.
Yeah, that was the second 2020 wave, yeah.
Of course, we got the infamous Peasant Anakin wave, which I guess it didn't slow things down too much. I know you saw a lot of it.
I did. I saw way too much of it. It was very discouraging.
So that was our worry with these things, is that, older figures, which, maybe older figures, not that exciting to existing longtime collectors, but nice for people to get. If you don't have a carded sample, or you want the photo reel, or you weren't collecting 5 or 10 years ago, that's all lovely and totally fine. It was really nice to see that earlier this year, the specialty repack wave was finally on its own SKU. I don't think which was Ahsoka, Young Anakin, Mace, and Obi-Wan. It didn't actually make it out to mainline like Target and Walmart, even though they said it would be available to them. Maybe it was available to them and they didn't buy it. But so anyway, they've gone back and forth. Now they're back as part of the main line, but it's their own wave. I don't know. Very strange. We still don't know about Weequay, who was revealed along with these guys. So we assume he's coming in another wave, I guess.
Yeah.
But then the big shock.
Yeah.
These guys were revealed at $16.99, 16 American dollars and 99 beautiful cents. I think we all initially thought, that's the price that gaming grades figures have been lately, $16.99. So some exclusives, and Havoc from Walmart was $16.99. A lot of exclusives have been about $2 more than their basic mainline counterparts. So it's kind of like, okay, we can accept it every now and then. But then come to find out these are part of the main line. And the next figure revealed is also $16.99. Oh boy. Oh, yeah. And Miel said, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, it would be disingenuous to not voice my disapproval, to put it mildly, for this move. It hasn't even been a slow increase on the price of these figures, because literally at one point in 2021, there were still figures with an MSRP of $12.99.
And I just kind of scrolled through Pulse, and 2022, sometimes they change prices, whatever, but the 2022 figures started at $13.99. Ones since then have already increased to $14.99.
With a couple $15.99.
So it's a $3 increase within the span of a year. which is a 21.4% increase. And that's on top of the dollar increase from last year already. So they've gone from $12.99 last year to $16.99 next year, which is quite a bit. And we've said in the past that, like, they were 12.83, the Black Series 2015 figures. So
Yeah.
you expect $1 or $2 every so often, but to have $3 or $4 increase over the course of a year and a half ish is a whole lot.
And it is not, I know the excuse is supply chain issues and inflation, but these price changes are not at all in line with these things. Like that's too much. It is too much. And shame on Hasbro for that. That is just so transparently greedy. No other toy manufacturer has upped their prices significantly, let alone like that to that extent. I mean, McFarlane is still charging $19.99 for his 17 or 7-inch figures. His retro figures are still $9.99 and they're 5-inch figures. And he's got a range of 6-inch figures that are, I think, $16.99, somewhere in there. Those Batman 66 retros. I know that's not the greatest comparison because, McFarlane is a totally different beast, but it just is impressive to see the amount of all new sculpts that are present in McFarlane toys, the price points they're at, how well they're distributed. I don't know. And Mattel's prices haven't gone absolutely bonkers. It is just a Hasbro thing. If you go down the toy aisle, Hasbro product is obscenely priced. So
yeah.
I hate to be that guy. I'm sorry for being that guy ranting about price. I don't.
Well, no. I mean, it's warranted.
This was a slap in the face. This is frankly insane.
Yeah, and it's
insulting.
You can justify it some ways. It'll be interesting to see how, nobody's happy about it. It'll be interesting to see, put your money where your mouth is. If you're really that upset about it, don't buy it. Don't buy the repacks, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But then again, let's look at what happened with cigarettes. They made those really expensive and
so
levied a bunch of taxes on them. And if you're addicted to them, you're still gonna do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't pass on any of this stuff at this price. I give them the benefit of the doubt for some of the stuff because it's as you said, difficult supply chain issues, but a lot of that stuff is slowly going back to normal. Even Patrick kind of mentioned that in a recent interview with Bossk's Bounty. So.
Well, to debut this price on repacks too.
Yeah. It's like, at least give us something really neat and cool and brand new and like, I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's too much, it's too much. We understand. Hopefully this is not a bad sign for the future health of the line, but it's not great.
Yeah, my main concern is once it goes up, they never lower prices. So
they're not going to say, by the way, everything's going great, so everything's cheaper again.
Yeah, I fear the next whim. This is all part of them working on their 50% revenue increase. So good on them, even though they're falling short of that metric. So
even if they need to increase prices, don't put out a video that's talking about how you're going to increase profits by 50% over the next few years.
Yeah, that's trying to keep my Happy Beeps hat on. I'll just say that's all pretty upsetting. So say it with a smile.
Yeah, but there was one place doing us a solid for a few hours. Entertainment Earth, mistakenly, it turns out, had these figures for $14.99 for a few hours when they went up. They did change it. I don't know if they're going to lock in those prices. I got them for the initial price. I think you did not, unfortunately.
I did not.
So. And the email says, prices are subject to change. I don't know, whatever. It's, $16. That's a figure. That's a figure's worth of per case, and now the cases are what 135 or something.
Yeah, it's 136.
Okay, so they're 120 just last wave. So,
yep.
Even though that's not out yet, but
yeah, it's. I do not approve. I do not appreciate it. I do not like it. I don't think it tracks with reality. I think it's obscene. Again, shame on Hasbro. Um, Shame on me for still wanting to buy these, but
Yeah.
it is what it
Yeah.
is, man. I mean, I love Star Wars collecting. I love the vintage collection. I have impulse control problems, and
Yeah.
I'm not priced out yet. Uh, but I am not happy about this, and it is. I dragged my feet on these pre-orders for these, so
Yeah. Is it going
uh,
to make you rethink your habits going forward? If
I have zero desire to get a single extra that I don't need of any figure. I think I'm going to stick to two of everything, as I preferred to do. One carded, one to open.
Yeah.
I just cannot justify army building or buying extras that I don't need.
Yeah.
It's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Yeah, I don't know, man. And I don't advocate clearance waiting, but at the same time, I don't know what to tell anyone out there that's frustrated and devastated by these increases. I wish I speak from a place of privilege that I can still
Yes.
afford this hobby. And that's, I try to check my reality on that.
Yeah.
But Christ, this is, I don't feel as good talking about it, talking excitedly about like, oh, I would love to buy toys, but and talking about, why someone should be excited for something. I can't in good conscience tell someone, hey, yeah, get that $16.99 repack.
Are these newly colored elbows really that important? Are they worth $17? Is the Return of the Jedi 40th logo on the carded figure worth $17?
Yeah.
Maybe two it is, maybe two it's not. Totally fine.
Yeah, I'm struggling with it.
To quote Lando from Solo, I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I accept it. I just had to say that, even if you don't accept it. But
I get you. I wish I could say that. I don't really accept it.
It's not cool. It's
it's a dick move. It is a dick move through and through.
Yeah.
So whatever. But we're shills. So
we're paid shills apparently.
Yep.
Still waiting for the check. It's been a couple years we've been doing this. I have not got a single thing from Hasbro. So
Yep.
Call us shills if you will. But
Anyway,
next, another item, totally fairly priced, 100%, not shockingly overpriced at all, is the speeder bike and scout trooper.
Yeah.
So yes, we've talked about it before. Yes, we all know the 2012 speeder bike was basically okay. Basically totally fine. Would have liked a repack of that. Maybe they lost it. Maybe they didn't know about it. Maybe they forgot about it. Maybe they just wanted to make a new one. We don't know. And yes, we know the Biker Scout would have been nice to get an all-new one. Yes, that's the opinion. That's the consensus of everyone. That's not what happened. We've known about that for months. The train has left the station. The speeder bike has left the base on that one. This is what we got. So it is a fully newly tooled speeder bike. Happy to have it. 2012 one was great. Like I said, it wouldn't be so much of a head scratcher if they didn't act like the tooling was something they had to pay for out of their children's college funds. But it is what it is.
Yeah, they make it sound like that if they try to sculpt something new, they won't eat that week. Yes. So it's like, okay, guys.
They all have to huddle around and share one bean that they have to cut up into paper thin slices.
Now you know how we feel paying $16.99 for an action figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, the bike has a 3-point, 3-position clear stand, similar to the first release from Black Series, which is a little better. You can have it at different heights, which is different than the 2012 one, which was kind of stuck at a very tall height. So I do appreciate this. The front of the engine lifts up, which I think was also on the 2012 one. But it has here's $45 worth of value here. It's got a removable bedroll on the back, which actually I did actually get excited when I heard about that.
Yeah, Mr. I don't need any of these frou-frou details and whatever. And then they revealed them and you're just like,
actually, you know what? I did like it. Okay, but if it's going to cost the same, if it's all going to cost the same, I don't need it. But because some of them do have the bedroll on the back and some of them don't, that's why I like it, because it is a feature seen or not seen in the films, as the case may be. So there you go on that one. This is a carded Scout Trooper for the first time on the Finish the 96 card back since 2006. But it, as people have noticed, it is called the Scout Trooper instead of the Biker Scout, and I officially cannot care about that.
Well, what if they do a running change? Would you buy another?
They might do a speeding change. Wouldn't that be neat? I would buy another. Of course, I would buy another because I'm a sucker.
Yeah, me too, man. I felt myself just die inside.
But the 6-inch anniversary one and the retro one coming next year both say Biker Scout. So I don't know. Maybe legally they couldn't say bike on the packaging more than once without it having to be sold in the bicycle section at Walmart. I don't know. It's VC 273, which is the farthest vintage collection number currently known, according to you. You keep track of the numbers very nicely.
Yes, that is so far the furthest out that we know.
And yes, we've talked about this many times. It's based on a 2006 figure. It got some updates in 2012 and some, better colored shoulders in the Gaming Greats a couple years ago. This time they updated, so it has a new helmet, a larger helmet, because the old one was a little small. Frankly, I think they might have overshot it, made it a little too big this time, but I'd like to see it in person. It has those sweet, beautiful rocker ankles that everyone's obsessed with. And it has the old wrists. I'm glad they got the ankles for sure, because it'll help pose on the bike better and stand better. And it did get ball joint hips in 2012 for the speeder bike set, but it doesn't have the thigh cut, so it's not, and it doesn't have the barbell hips, so it's not 100% up to 2022, 2023 standards. But the one thing I really wanted them to fix that they did not fix would be those big old giant wrists.
Yeah, that was a hard one to swallow.
Yeah, and it still rotates at the glove instead of at the wrist, so can't quite move up and down for the handlebars as much as they should. That's a lot. I will say I do know people are disappointed that they didn't update the whole thing. Personally speaking, I think it's okay. You can yell at me if you will.
Yeah.
But I do wish they'd updated the wrists. So that was the yeah. There's your Tyler sigh because he's not here tonight. So
no, I get you. I think I've defended this Scout Trooper figure before. I liked it well enough. I'm tired of it already. We got it twice in the modern line for the Gaming Greats last year. And then we just got the one in that 3-pack for Jedi Survivor, which you forgot about when you were listing the times we've seen it.
I did.
Because you said you kept forgetting about it, and you were right. You did. It's okay. It's an okay figure. The problem is for these prices, I would like to be feeling a little more than it's okay.
It's perfectly fine. I would even go so far as to say it's acceptable. It's in the acceptable to good range for me. Yeah. It's not in the amazing, perfect, Darth Vader Dark Times figure range, but I don't look at it and say, oh my God, that sucks. That's the worst thing that's ever been on my shelf.
It's just these specific shortcomings like the wrists are things that are very hard to overlook when assessing the figure. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it could be worse. And I think you've posed the question before. It's like, would I have rather had an all new speeder bike or an all new Scout Trooper tooled up? Mm-hmm. I would have preferred a brand new Scout Trooper with the 2012 speeder bike. But then again, whatever. We know this. It's not new. Yes. So whatever.
We know it's happening. So order it or don't.
The speeder bike looks phenomenal. It looks phenomenal.
It looks amazing. It looks great. So, the 2012 one looked great too. So I've said it before.
I don't have that one, and now I never will.
Well, perfect. Well, so there you go. It's your first good speeder bike in a while. I forgot they had a good one in 2002 also, which also was in vintage collection via the AT-AT a couple times. But that was a little rubbery, little gummies. This one should be. Hopefully, it's a little stiffer, so the steering vanes don't sag and drag on the ground. But whatever. As far as the box, it's Kinner-esque. What I was hoping for that. It's kind of similar to the world building sets where it's got like a box and then a card sort of thing on the back. Not the most exciting thing on the planet, but it's nice to see that they stuck with it. It's great to have a new vehicle in the line finally after the last couple of years.
Main line too. So
yes. Oh yes, available. I didn't see it pre-ordered at Target or Walmart.
Well, Target
but-
doesn't put up much. They didn't put up the Luke Skywalker lightsaber. They didn't put up.
Okay.
They didn't put up a couple things actually the last couple weeks. So,
But
but then again, they don't also like to ship anything. So yeah.
I've been delaying that Obi-Wan saber every Friday. I wake up and say, "Oh, it's Friday," because I have to delay the Obi-Wan saber again.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's the only way
It's
I
a
can keep
weekend,
track
yeah.
of time.
But speaking of sticker shock, it's $44.99 for this set, which is, it's double what it would have been, double what it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, whenever that was.
Well, think about it this way. $17 of that was an old figure that they had to put in there. So that leaves math amount of money left over. I'm not going to do the math because I went to public school.
High 20s, yes, which isn't that bad. I have said before, if they wanted to do the speeder bike without the Scout Trooper, it would have been, I would have hoped closer to 20, but 25 is about where it is. A little bit higher than that. So
I honestly, the price of the 40, I was expecting 50. I was expecting $49.99.
There's the happy beeps that I love to hear.
Hooray! I'm paying a couple dollars less than I thought. I did buy 2. I might get more. I can easily see this being an item that will have some sales or promotions running.
Yes.
That's not me encouraging clearance waiting. It's just, I advocate for, if you can, supporting the line by, buying the new things if you can, if it makes sense for you to, vote with your wallet that way. But if you want to get some extras, I'm sure that'll be something that'll be doable down the line. So
yes,
and that's what I'm hoping for, because I would love to get a few of these. I probably will. We'll just wait and see.
Yeah, I have 4 on order so far. They got me with the carded figure in the set, of course.
Yeah,
I want to keep carded one to open. Then I'll give the bike to Pop Blue or Luke or Leia or somebody.
Yeah,
and Anyway,
this podcast is like the opposite of like any like Dave Ramsey or financial advising podcast where it's just like, well, if you only saved $20 here and there and you could own your house outright, and we're all just like, hey, if you buy a toy made in 2006 for $16, $17, you too can feel just as disgruntled and mildly satiated in your dopamine levels for 5 minutes. So
yes, you don't just get the bike and the Scout Trooper, you get some fun chemicals in your brain that go off when you get it. So that's also factor that in the price as well. Okay,
it's not the figures we get, it's the money we spent along the way.
Yes. Speaking of another expensive thing,
although I will just caveat on this one.
Yes.
You said sticker shock for speeder bike.
Yes.
I know this next one is sticker shock from some, but is it really? Anyway, continue.
It shouldn't be. There's pattern recognition is a thing that I think we could all work on as a fan community. But it's Paz Vizsla, the heavy infantry Mandalorian. You keep that all in.
Oh, I will. I've
tired.
stumbled over several things, so this is going to be a really engaging episode. These guys sound tired and sad. Let's listen for 2 hours.
They're convincing themselves to spend way too much money on this stuff.
Yeah.
That's my life. But
getting
anyway.
that dopamine and copamine.
Yes, so could have been a basic figure, but he is not. He's a deluxe figure, aka the world building set. When they pipelined him, they did show an image of him fighting Din from Book of Boba Fett. Box says Mandalorian, but it's got accessories from both shows, so I do appreciate that. It's got his energy shield, his gauntlet energy shield, and the knife as seen in Book of Boba Fett. The knife was also in Mandalorian, so that pulls double duty. He's got a jetpack with flame effects and thrusters, and the heavy cannon with blast effect. The thrusters are the flame effects. I don't know why it's on here both. That's okay. The knife can go into the boot, so you won't lose that little guy. And so it's nice. I think that's basically everything he interacted with in the appearances that he's had in these shows.
He also interacted with the Razor Crest, so
he did.
Patrick's promise.
Yes. Yeah. Becoming more true every day.
Yeah, it only is taking 3 years at a time.
Yes. So yes, back to the sticker shock. It's $27.99. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's only $1, maybe $1.50 more than previous deluxe figures, including Walmart exclusive Maldo Kreese Mandalorian and Grogu, And then the mainline Tatooine Boba and Dark Trooper. So that's the most direct point of comparison because you've already paid $26.99 for 2 mainline deluxe figures. I guess we haven't been charged for Dark Trooper in the States, but yeah. And the other Walmart exclusive figures are $20.99. So maybe people were expecting that to be more of the case here, but
yeah, but I mean, that was 3 of them. So half of the ones that we've gotten in this deluxe kind of expression, which I guess I will include the Maldo Crease Mando in the deluxe expression because, that's what he was priced as. And I think he was just the last one that they got in on, or since it was the first, it was like, do we do it on a card? Apparently not. So.
Yeah. And not to be a scold, but we knew what to expect with this guy. They told us it was going to be a world building set.
They told us, they told us it'd be deluxe. We knew the price for that.
So. It's still, you don't have to like it. You don't have to pay it. You don't have to get the figure, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see that reaction. Yeah.
It's an incredible looking figure. It really is. It looks amazing. Yeah. It's everything I hope to see out of a Paz Vizsla figure in the vintage collection.
I love that we got all these accessories with him, so we don't have to wait for another version in a year to get more. I don't know what he's going to do. I think he's in the Mandalorian season 3 trailer, one of the leaked trailers or the official one. I don't know. It all blurs together, but he's coming back. We know he's coming back. He's got some unfinished business with Din, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now you can recreate it all. Yeah.
The vintage collection one is more accurate than the Black Series one. Not to, do that whole, not to pick a fight here. I'm just saying the Mandalorian, the Black Series version of Paz was really quick to come out. I think he was out before the end of 2020.
I think he was shown during the season, like put up an order during the first season.
I remember getting him either really late 2020 or late 2019, early 2020. And it was a Best Buy exclusive at first. And then it later became Fan Channel where you can still get them. That figure is based more on the concept art. So it does have some inaccuracies, whereas the benefit here with waiting for ours is that it was, based on the show, the media. So it is more screen accurate.
Yeah. And, we've gotten that a number of times with, Credit Collection and Carbonized. And those were, $36.99 ish. So about $9-10 more than the vintage one. So, it's, I don't know how they work these prices out, but I don't know. I guess some of them are 30. Yeah, I don't know. The $10 difference is kind of what I like to see in the line. I'm sure Black Series is going to get another price increase at some point.
Yeah, $29.99. Here they come.
We're digging for happy beeps here today, folks, but we're finding them all the same. Okay.
Yeah, but
the figure looks great.
It does. So the figure looks great. Although, yes, we are kind of taking it up the pipe in prices. But speaking of pipes, there's a pipeline.
Oh my God, that was incredible. Oh my God, I'm gonna talk so much about all these figures. So buckle up if you haven't already heard enough out of me. But our second Imperial Trooper next year is Moff Jerjerrod. Should I go on all of these as we talk about them? Should I give a little overview?
No, just dive into Jerjerrod.
All right.
Jerjerrod.
This is another one. I believe me, I was wondering. I always pronounce Jerjerrod. It could easily be Jerjerrod. I don't know. It
doesn't make sense because Jared's a regular name. Jared. That's a regular name, but
yeah. But so this is the second one they've done in the 3 3/4 line. The 2006 one, I remember going into Walmart. It was a huge major peg warmer back in the day in the Saga collection. I don't know if it was the same, if you were really collecting then or not.
That would have been what, 2006?
The year after Revenge of the Sith.
I have that figure actually, so yeah, I do recall seeing it.
He looks a little angry.
One of the few figures I have from 2006.
Okay. That's fine, but this will be better. It goes with the previously pipelined Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader. So, world building where we can.
Teams and themes.
Yes, hell yes. It probably reuses Admiral Piet's body, which brings us to the incredibly interesting, fascinating, and rich subject of Imperial Officer rank badges. So get ready for this.
For the listeners out there, I will make sure to just cut in the exact timestamp that you can just skip to. I can't wait to edit this part.
So I'll say, this is not something that I really knew a whole lot about before researching for this episode, but across the original trilogy, each movie has a different system for the rank badges. In A New Hope, I believe everyone except Grand Moff Tarkin has one row of the little squares on their rank badge
And there's
thing.
6 across, right? 5 across?
Not always. I mean, Tarkin has 6/6.
That's right.
But, different ranks have different numbers, and some of them don't have any rank badge at all. By the time of Empire Strikes Back, a lot of them did have the, several over several. So I think when Piet starts as a captain, it's 3/3. Ozzel has 6/6. So when Piet gets promoted, he goes from 3/3 to 6/6. Veers has 4/4, I want to say. So they had a dedicated system for the Empire Strikes Back rank badges. However, when they got to Return of the Jedi, what seems to have been a costuming error of some sort, everyone has the captain rank badges from Empire Strikes Back. So everybody is 3/3.
It just goes to show that it was obvious. Return of the Jedi was just obviously made by people who didn't respect the lore and were out to insult the fans.
They didn't plan it at all. They didn't care.
Yeah. Sloppy work.
Clearly, yeah. Well, what it does go to show is that they didn't care that much about it, so neither should you guys. It's okay. It's going to be all right. But because of that, and then, so nowadays, what they've given explanations for that. Some of them they can say they're sector specific. Maybe that with the indoor system, everybody got captain badges just because that's all they had over there. The shipping crisis delays on indoor. I don't know. But another thing, before the Death Star's destruction, everybody had one line across, aside from some few really high-ranking guys. But so in like Rogue One and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor, everybody has one across, if you check that out, for the most part. Just one of these weird things, one of these many, many weird Star Wars things. Well, I'll say, so the costuming error, it benefits us now because they can just reuse the same chest for all of the Return of the Jedi Imperial officers. It's not, correct to the lore or whatever, but it is correct to what's on screen in the movie. So, kudos to Hasbro for figuring out a loophole where they can.
Maybe since the second Death Star was such a unique project, even though it's not unique, it's another Death Star, maybe the lore can explain that there was a separate rank badge system for anyone involved with the second Death Star. Maybe it was some kind of merging of the ISB and all that. So I don't know. We don't know.
If there's not a book about it yet, there will be at some point, I'm sure. So, but so yes, that was kind of a realization we had that, the Return of the Jedi carded Admiral Piet will probably have the 3/3 rank badge, which actually does work for his Empire Strikes Back captain appearance as well. So, it's going to be fine. We're all going to survive. But anyway, getting to Jared, going to be good. Going to be good. Going to be dope.
Speaking of inaccuracies.
Yes. 9 None. Here's another one. Oh my God. So they announced him as a refresh from the 2012 wave. I think the last wave of vintage, but that one was very short. Somewhere along the line, somebody described Sulistans as mousy, I think, because their faces, maybe their eyes, maybe their ears, I don't know, but that got translated to them being really short. However, in Return of the Jedi, and later in Force Awakens and Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, 9 None is portrayed by an actor with a mask. He is a puppet in the scenes in The Falcon, so maybe he's smaller there, but you see him walking around in the movie. He's a regular height guy. So it's disappointing to me personally that they're going to be repacking that old short 9 None. I would prefer an all new one, but we ain't getting it. So, that's life. Last pipeline. You take this one, okay?
Well, on a happier beep and some balance the scales approach, Cad Bane from the Book of Boba Fett was also pipelined for TVC.
Woo.
That's rad. He was pipelined for TBS at PulseCon. TBS, for those of you not paying attention, is the Black Series, but the cool kids do the abbreviations. So rolls off the tongue just like TVC. Yes. So that was really great to see where that turnaround wasn't super long of the Vintage Collection fans just being like, okay, so is that something we can get? I think we only had to feel that anxiety for a month and a half. Yeah. So I liked that, balance. It's great. Appreciate it. Also Cad Bane.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be our first. Cad Bane in the vintage collection. It'll be our first realistic style Cad Bane. There's 3 already in the Black Series, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we're getting one, and hopefully, because Cad Bane's appearances across his different media appearances are all similar, this can be like what they did for the Black Series, just kind of working backwards. But the Black Series did the Clone Wars version. They were able to reuse a lot of parts to do the Baraka version from the Bad Batch. And then, Book of Boba Fett, I'm sure for the Black Series, their version will have plenty of reused parts, since his look is pretty darn similar. He's a consistent Duro. So
He knows what he likes, and he likes a nice duster.
Yes, he does. And don't we all? Dusters are kick ass. But yeah, I have to assume this figure will be all new. You know what? What if he's deluxe and he comes with Toto 360?
Oh, I don't know.
Couldn't, because Toto wasn't in The Mandalorian, or Book of Boba Fett, which is what he was pipelined for. But
Could be.
when has that ever stopped them from doing something inaccurate? So
we do not know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. How about you, John?
Yeah. I was very happy to hear that. Yeah. And I have more Book of Boba Fett comments for later, but yeah, very happy to see him. So pretty good pipeline. Nice to have the pipeline refilled a little bit.
Yeah.
There's still some items in there that we haven't seen yet. So
yeah, I would like to see some more new things, like Book of Boba Fett being a new property. It's just like, yes, and instead of yay. Oh, so
anything else? But
that's only one repack in the pipeline right now, then, that they added, instead of the feature being like, look at all these repacks in the pipeline. You're gonna love it. So
at least they weren't in the pipeline that long, luckily. So that's another saving grace of that quick turnaround. But
yeah. All right.
Speaking of, somebody was speaking of new media a minute ago, but Bring Home the Galaxy, November 1st. There was a Black Series figure. You covered this one. I'm tired of talking about Black Series figures.
Okay, fine. The Black Series, balance the scales again. The Black Series is getting Vel Sartha, which we have coming to TVC. Ours doesn't have anyone to display with her, but that may change in just 1 second when John mentions what's coming next.
It's Cassian Andor on the Aldhani mission that he undertook with Vel Sartha in that outfit.
That is
the vintage
nuts.
collection. Yes. Oh my God. Can you believe it?
Oh my God. We can put 2 figures together. Whoa. Yeah. So, and this is one that was already present in the Black Series. So it was a balanced scales both ways. I have appreciated that a lot of these reveals have kind of been that way lately. But yeah. Anyway.
Yes. TVC has a long way to go for Andor before we're caught up to Black Series, but
boy, howdy it does. I made that graphic again today, so
yes, the Black Series side is nice and full, and we're looking a little hungry over on Vintage Collection side, but
yeah.
Anyway, so this Cassian figure seems to be based on the Shore Trooper figure, again, similar to the recent Morak tank driver Din Djarin and Biggs Mayfeld figures. It's got inaccurate boots. This is what everybody's mad about right now. Because in the show he had just regular Imperial officer looking boots. These are more armored boots. Sucks. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's not wildly, or it's not a minor inaccuracy. That's a pretty
big inaccuracy. There was a deleted scene where they put these armored boots on and then decided to take them off. We just didn't see it. It's off screen.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to justify it. But the legs aren't great, but they did tool up a new Cassian head without the beard, a removable hat, upper arms to be a little more accurate, and a new belt / skirt / holster piece. So they put in a fair amount of work on this guy, but they, would have been nice to get new boots or to reuse the Figure and Dan Death Star Gunner boots or the upcoming Imperial officer boots.
Right there.
They're right there. But speaking of reuse, they could reuse this to get his teammates, the other guys from this episode. We were just talking about this, I think, last time. The Aldhani mission, the 3 other rebels who go undercover with him.
They have names. I don't know them.
They have names. They are Nimic, Tamarin, and Skeen, Arvel Skeen.
Oh, yeah, okay. Just on the reuse thing about reusing them to get his teammates, I also have a feeling this probably won't be the last time we see this head sculpt. So we could probably, the door's open now for some more Cassians from the show that don't have his more scraggly beard look from the first episodes.
And it'll be a better, sort of closer to his Rogue One appearance, I guess. So a better photoreal version, because you never got a photoreal version of his Rogue One look with that shorter facial hair. Anyway, I will say he still needs the sort of E10.5 blaster, they call it. It's not quite the E11. It's not quite the E10 from Solo. Somewhere in between. It would be nice to get that if they make the other characters from his squad. It's a short walk to those guys. It's a short walk to the Imperial Officer Ferrix figure that's already in Black Series, and the Mud Trooper from Solo. We get ever closer to that with these new arms. I don't know. It's nice to... It's reuse that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we found out today that this figure is in the wave after these skiff guards. It's 2 per case in a new assortment that features a carry-forward Cal, the first carry-forward in a couple years, and 4 other mystery figures. Maybe Hunter is involved in that, as they tend to reveal these things kind of
pretty
along a
sure
similar
it's
timeline.
Hunter.
It's got to be Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my issues with the inaccuracy on that figure, but at least they had something from Andor to reveal during the show's run that we weren't expecting. That was a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. So
we're just asking for the same figure with different heads at this point. Like, it can't be that hard, can it?
Yeah. So, well, hey, do you want to jump into winding down this episode a little bit?
Let's do it. There's you got a lot of thoughts that are relevant to exactly what we're talking about right now.
I have a lot of thoughts. I'll try to keep it brief. I know I've already talked and just stumbled over words.
We've peaked with the rank badge talk. I don't know where we're gonna go from here.
Yeah, that honestly, I'm going to start putting that on my resume. I'm just going to make a little clip of that and just put a little QR code on my resume. So you can listen to my buddy John talk about QR codes and listen to me breathe heavily into a microphone. So,
love it.
But yes, the Black Series continues to get plenty of variety spread across all eras. Not only getting new media stuff, but tapping into plenty of Legends things that fans have been asking for quite a while. Things like Knights of the Old Republic, Mara Jade being a huge one. I am really pleased to see that coming to the Black Series. And before you yell at, like anybody yells at me, like, oh, what's wrong with Evan? He's saying a nice thing about the Black Series. No, I genuinely am happy that they are getting the variety that they do want. They do ask for this variety. Like we all are asking for this variety. So I'm glad that they're getting to see some of that. And again, I know Mara Jade was one that was always very popular for Black Series collectors, and a big hole in that collection with how important that character is. We have a pretty good one in 3 3/4 inch. I would love to, of course, I would love to see an all new one, but I would love to see the one that we already have, maybe with some minor updates. I think that would be a great addition to the vintage collection. It exists, so it's hard to be super mad about it. So yes, vintage collection continues to see a focus on the original trilogy and Mando, which is great. But the majority of the OT offerings are repacks or reuse of much older figures. The Scout Trooper dates back to 2006, shows its age, with the wrists especially. Personally, between Hasbro's reluctance to do anything meaningful with new media and the absolutely shitty and frustrating attitudes of many of my fellow collectors surrounding new media, both TVC and Black Series collectors are guilty of this. I'm kind of giving up on my hopes and expectations of meaningful representation of new media on the line. It's going to be hard for me to let go, since collecting Star Wars figures is, and always has been, an integral part of how I experience new Star Wars. So forgive me and bear with me as I transition into trying to let it go a little more and be less vocal about this personal disappointment. But that said, there is a lot to be excited about for the future of TVC. Cad Bane being pipelined is rad. This Cassian, though inaccurate, coming out of nowhere and, bringing our total of Andor figures from 2 to 3. That's a 33% increase. That's pretty good. I'm pleased with that. So I don't know. A couple things for discussion here, John. Would themed waves help? For me, I think I'd love to see 8 character waves instead of 8 figure waves, like 8 character waves, with half being focused on whatever the relevant media is and the rest filling out everything else To me, this would at least offer some cohesion and scene partners towards completing the cruise and to be able to world build. I'm doing air quotes here. I know there are drawbacks to this, though. Some folks are of the mind that themed waves are what killed TVC the first time. So I don't know, John.
Well, themed waves, I loved them back when they did them. But I love to get figures from all eras of Star Wars, all media of Star Wars.
I know, and I am told every day that many people don't agree with us there, John. So
yes, I am fully aware that not everyone loves all of Star Wars. I've been on the internet once. So, Hasbro's aware of that as well. So, and they're aware that some collectors might sit out entire waves if it's, let's say somebody hates Empire Strikes Back and they don't want Empire Strikes Back figures. They'll sit out that wave. That was an example of something that, that's not as controversial.
That was a very safe.
That's very tactful. Yes. You see what I did
well
there?
Done.
Yeah,
well done.
But I also appreciate that there is so much to cover now that it is harder to get fully themed waves now, when there's 11 movies and 5, 6, 7, 8 TV shows, however many there are. Than it was when there were only 6 movies to cover and the animated series had its own separate dedicated line, because now Vintage Collection nowadays has to cover everything. I agree with you. I would love to see themed waves. I think the Obi-Wan wave was a great start in that direction. We had 3 great, totally all new figures, amazing figures, Obi-Wan, Vader, Reva, all new. Anakin was a repack that was more relevant than we realized since he appeared in the flashbacks. He was also relevant to the Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary, whether they meant to or not. And then the something else category was the Mandalorian Super Commando, which helped flesh out the Siege of Mandalore focus that was going on throughout all of this year. So I'll just say Retro, for some reason, can get themed waves around the new media. They get 6 Obi-Wan figures in one go, 6 Mando figures in one go, even 6 Return of the Jedi figures in one wave. We get 4 repacks in one wave, so that's something. I'll close out and send it back to you with Steve Evans' comments on the 1027 live stream in the Marvel section. I didn't write down what he said, but it was something to the effect of, we can't make everybody happy all the time, but we try to make everyone a little bit happy with stuff here and there. And I think it makes everybody a little bit happy. I want to be happier with, I don't know.
Yeah. The Obi-Wan wave, going back to that one, that did make me more than a little bit happy. It made me a lot of bit happy. I still look at those 3 new figures we got in that wave as an absolute achievement in TVC.
Yeah.
And they are 3 of my favorite figures. I could play with them forever. I have triples of them. So I have ones to display on my desk at work, as well as the ones that I have at home. They mean a lot to me, especially because that is a new media property that did connect with me personally. So I was very happy to have that. I want more. But again, I wonder, though, maybe I should just cave and get Black Series to scratch my new media itch, since obviously they have no problem there. But maybe that's part of Hasbro's plan. So I think I wrote in the notes, insert the Pepe Sylvia meme. So it's all a conspiracy. But no, I do appreciate you putting in Steve Evans' words there. The bottom line is, I'm not having, quote, all the fun, but I'm doing my best to have quite a bit of fun with what we're given. And my biggest struggle is just coming to terms with, being able to deal with slightly lower expectations. So.
Yes, I have even more written out here, but just to kind of go on that, give a little more of a happy spin. I'm a spin doctor over here, but in terms of Book of Boba Fett, I wanted to go back to what Emily told us at Celebration. Quote, so the interesting thing about release time frame with the contents is each content has different directors. We're getting references maybe at different times. You guys may have seen that for Book of Boba Fett. That's a bit more of a delay because we didn't get quite as much. But we're working closely with Lucasfilm as our partners, and really, it's up to that director when and how much they want to share and what they want to keep back. And I think we're seeing that play out now because both lines are only now getting Cad Bane and different Tusken Raiders in the pipeline. TBS also has Kersantin and the Pike Soldier coming, but TVC has Boba and Big Bib. Both lines only have figures from the Mando Season 2 post-credits tease, like Finnick and, Boba in the throne room. So I appreciate that they are getting to those, even if they got the reference super late. I do wish Lucasfilm would have been a little more open with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Happy to see Jedi Survivor figures before the game comes out. I recognize also video games have really long lead times and frequent delays. I always think back to when the Force Unleashed figures came out like a year before the game.
Yeah.
So just to say, not to always say patience, but I do genuinely think Hasbro is listening to fan requests, but it just takes a long time to steer the ship. Because I think back to where we were 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when fans were really upset about a lot of stuff. That's why we started doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the things that they were upset about, TVC didn't have figures to go with the carbon freezing chamber playset or anything in particular for the Empire Strikes Back's 40th anniversary. Since then, they've released Bespin Leia, Lando, Lobot, and 2 Bespin security guards for the Bespin playset. They've fleshed out the Navarro Cantina playset with world building sets, troop builder packs, and the speeder bike that I'm sure they're going to repaint for Remnant version. We still need the client and Season 1 grief. Got to say that always. They've done a huge focus this year on the Siege of Mandalore. About 2 years after the episodes aired, they saw it was popular. They saw people were talking positively about it. They got figures out to world build that whole battle. They're repacking the skiff guards that can be displayed with the various Jabba's Palace playsets and vehicles that have been over the last few years and next year. And they're doing a dedicated Return of the Jedi 40th logo on figures next year. A lot to build out the indoor bunker playset as well as the Jabba stuff with like indoor Han and speeder bike. So those are the happy beeps on that front. I agree, new media needs a lot more than we're getting. But if that's something fans want, I think we need to keep saying it. Be positive about it. Talk about the stuff you like. Don't crap on the stuff you don't like so much. Let people like what they like. Keep asking for what you want. So that's my thing. They are listening to other stuff. I am positive about that. Price increases suck though, but whatever.
The price increase between the price increases and I think it's just that, what can we do to further encourage Hasbro to maybe be less reactive and falling behind and then playing catch up? Do we need to, kind of lean on them to be more confident and leaning on Lucasfilm to get assets, with their relationship? How do they strengthen that? How do they strengthen communication? Is this team motivated enough to really go to bat for the fans and collectors and when dealing with Lucasfilm and Disney? I don't know. There's a lot of factors that are at play. There's so many moving parts that, on the one hand, I totally get why it takes forever to get anything. And I totally get why there's so much red tape. In a lot of cases, I don't think it excuses where we're currently at, but I do think that there are valid reasons for a degree of that. So it's just, how do we encourage that window to kind of shorten, that communication to kind of tighten up? And I feel like that would lead to happier fans, happier collectors, poorer fans and poorer collectors, but happier in different ways.
Yes. And I'll say, I guess, not to only focus on Book of Boba, because, of course, both Obi-Wan and Andor have a lot more Black Series than they do Vintage Collection figures.
Many.
And I want all of them. We want all of them. So, I don't know what we can do. Keep saying we want them. Keep putting them on your wish list. Put them on. We know they look at March Madness. Keep putting new media at the top of the lists, I guess. And we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, should I go into the end spin?
Do it.
All right. Well, hey, gang, if you haven't already, please rate and review the show via your preferred platform. It does really help us out. I'm serious. I will read your reviews on the show. We're not hard to get a hold of, but seriously, if you want us to give you a shout out on the show or something, throw it in a review, as long as it's not one that says, like, kill yourselves, guys. Won't read that one on the show. Just going to say that much.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah. So anyway, to make it super easy, there is a link in our link tree that you can find on our Instagram bio. Speaking of Instagram, be sure not to miss any of the fun on Instagram. In case there's something really wrong with your brain and you somehow stuck out this episode this long and still don't know who we are, we're at SWTVC on Instagram. John just whipped up our November calendar. So if you'd like a sneak peek at what the rest of the month is going to look like over on Instagram for us, head on over and make sure that you're following us on our social media home. Also, keep an eye on our posts and stories this week, as we are hoping to do a live stream this coming weekend. There may even be some details on our long delayed 10,000 followers celebratory giveaway. We'll see. Stay tuned. All right. Well, hey, John, thanks for doing this with me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can't wait to do it again. But
Yes.
until then, that does it for another episode of the SWTVC pod. I fucked it.
Wow, you're doing so well. The Powdcast, the guy from Rogue One, Pow. But yeah, anyway.
Until next time, that does it for another episode of the SWTVC podcast. As always, keep 375 alive, back TVC, balance the scales Hasbro, happy beeps, and may the Force be with you.